free to eat. Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Holycross, and I'm finishing up my last couple weeks here at TCC's public speaking class with Debbie St. Andre. During this quarter I learned a few things about public speaking, as well as how to make a video as a platform for delivering an effective speech. More importantly, I learned a lot about myself as a speaker. As soon as I opened the class Canvas page, I knew there was a lot more to this class than I had previously anticipated. In an effort to inform future students about public speaking, I would like to talk about what it was I learned about myself, as well as a couple other things. What my expectations of the class were, some of the more useful pieces of information, what the class addressed, and a couple things that I would change or improve upon. Expectations. We all have them. When I started this quarter, I thought this class was going to be a cakewalk, because I currently speak weekly in front of large groups and I don't usually have a problem. I was totally wrong. As for myself, I thought that my experience was going to give me an edge, because I was confident in my ability to speak. What I didn't realize was that the only speeches that I was doing were the ones that I had been doing for years about the same thing. When the topics became more academic, my speech patterns and habits changed, and it was usually for the worse. Up until about week 3, I had expected to give a few pointers on tone, organization, maybe seeing things about confidence and the use of filler words. What I started to learn was much different, and there turned out to be a more deeply rooted psychological aspect in the class. After about week 3, I began to learn that there was going to be a lot more reading and repeating my speeches over and over to maintain a professional and articulate speech. Some of the information I found more useful in doing this was organizing my speech. Though not directly stated in our text, but from instructor resources, organizing a speech is crucial. Your introduction must be smooth and meaningful, as well as establish a reason for your audience to listen. In more or less words, one could say, I'm teaching you about lifting weights because I'm a highly trained and knowledgeable personal trainer. Otherwise, tell them why you're wasting their time. Researching your topics. According to Chapter 8 of Stand Up, Speak Out, most of our speeches are basically research papers that are spoken out loud. It's crucial for your main points to possess data that clearly illustrate enough information to prove your point. Otherwise, your audience won't accept it, or they'll forget. For example, recent graphs on the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere versus how much of it actually comes from is produced from humans. Knowing your audience. In this class, we're all expected to listen to each other's speeches, but in the real world, it's important to consider who your audience could be unless you're trying to change someone's mind. J. Wench, 2017, states that your speech should be carefully constructed for each type of audience. For example, when speaking to a crowd of climate change deniers, it would be appropriate for you to include information and sound facts that might change their mind. In other words, be persuasive. A couple things that the class addresses and some things that I might change or improve upon. CMST 220 does a good job of stressing the importance of structure, effective outlining, and different types of speeches. Effective outlining is crucial for your speech and can basically later serve as a giant cue card, kind of what I'm using right now. As for the types of speeches, the class does a good job of addressing the different types of speeches for different occasions. Furthermore, the text Stand Up, Speak Out does an excellent job focusing on the subtleties that most of us don't even realize we're doing when we're speaking publicly, such as the way that I'm moving my hands or how I keep looking down at my cue cards when I'm not supposed to. If I were to change anything about the class, it would be the intensely guided structure of the outlines and speeches. Oftentimes I found myself tripping up in order to hit every detail of the assignment. It made articulating the speeches and even writing the outlines overly difficult and only added to my anxiety. In an effort to make things more streamlined, I would cut down on the requirements for rereading chapters and double submitting assignments. The busy work wasn't really difficult, but it took away from my actual practice time, which as a speaker I feel is really important to develop your speech. What I learned about myself in this class, will forever hold valuable for my future use and endeavors. As for myself, I learned that leaving my ego at the door is a huge step forward for me in actually learning. Key methods such as organizing my speech from beginning to end, researching my topics to help me build a solid case for any type of speech. Understanding how I can add my own style to the strict requirements was also a big step in my personal growth to becoming a better speaker. Thank you for listening. Happy finals week.